High Noon Report. Welcome in. Rant, report, whatever it is we're calling. I'm sorry, I apologize. 10 minutes late today. Hi, I'm Pugs Moran. I do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m.-ish. 12 p.m.-ish. It's the High Noon Rant. It's me. It's a stream of consciousness on just all the things that are happening in the world. That means no breaks, no stops, nobody to talk to. I don't we're going to take a break here. We're going to check the traffic. We don't do that. It's just ranting on current events. It's basically designed, the show is designed to be everything you need to know about today. We do it in 4 quarters. First quarter, we start out, we call that antecedently on this day. Just a fancy way of saying on this day in history. We go through the things that happened on this day. Then quarter 2, birthdays, self-explanatory. Quarter 3, deaths, also self-explanatory with a twist. We decide whether they went to heaven or hell. That's the little twist that I put on the old, hey, here's who died on this day. Then quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events, trends, headlines, whatever it is people are buzzing about. That's what this show is designed to be. It's designed to be an easy listen so you can just get caught up on everything that everybody's talking about. From stupid gossip to sports news to real news to whatever it is. Here's what we don't do. We don't do politics. We don't get involved in the Joe Biden's too old or Trump is a criminal. We don't get involved in any of that stuff. You guys do. You guys spend way too much time getting involved in that shit, and I'm sick of it. So this show is designed to be a talk show for the other things, for everybody else, for everybody who doesn't want everything to be boiled down to how you voted in November. So that's what the show is. All right. Say hi to the chat room. Hiya, Al. We got Al in the chat room. We got April in the chat room. We got Byron in the chat room. We got Peter in the chat room. We got everybody in the chat room. Here's who I don't see in the chat room. I do not see today's executive producer. The almighty Cam is back again, the executive producer. How do you get to be executive producer of the show? Well, you have to tip more than anybody else the previous day. That's it. And we don't get tips every day, which, what was that? Did you just hear that? Just hear that? That was weird. That was very weird. Hi, Rich Thornburr. Rich is already going fucking politics in the chat room, dude. You know how much time I'm going to spend on that story? I'm going to talk about it first, and we're going to spend about 20 seconds. If you want more of that shit, go somewhere else, you weirdo. Seriously, imagine a Supreme Court decision, one that we've all known how it was going to go. I mean, it's not like this was a surprise. People are like, I can't get on my Facebook today because all my Trump friends are like, blah. I'm like, shut up, you fucking weirdos. All right, moving on. Not you, Rich. Rich, you're probably a pretty good guy. Cameron's here. Hi, Cam. Cam slipped in with a tip last night. At least that's when I saw it this morning when I saw the time on it. That's awesome, man. You guys, look, this show, we don't do bullshit with sponsors. Although, honestly, we should. We should. I've been working the last couple of days talking to people, trying to get them interested in this, because putting the burden on you for all these years, I can't take these grinds, man. You have no idea how sick I was all weekend. And it's not just because this particular week. It's because every month, at the end of the month, I get sick to my stomach knowing that I'm going to have to be like a goddamn televangelist on this thing, trying to get people to donate. And you shouldn't be carrying that burden. That's not... Well, actually, it'd be better if we had more listeners. The problem is, here's where my guilt comes from. It's the same 10 of you. It's the same 10 of you every damn time. It's the same 10 people. And by the way, when this show ends, those 10 people, I'm going to have to do something for them. It's more than 10. It's more than 10. But it is really just kind of a collection of you guys that are just so consistent and so great. And I appreciate it. And we need $250 this week. That's it. That's the number. Starting at 0 right now. This show needs to make $250. So in other words, I need to earn $250 this week, right? Is that asking too much? I mean, I don't know. I need to get a job is what needs to happen here. But we got to figure out how we can keep this going. Because damn it, I love this. For 2.5 years, this has been my thing. To wake up in the morning and to have a purpose. Wake up in the morning and I'm like, ooh, let's find the best news stories. Ooh, let's find all the stuff people are talking about. So you people have done wonders for me in my mental state, just as far as like, being a guy who can't work in radio. I mean, I can, but I won't. I mean, I can't work at the places I want to work. That's how it should say. The places I would love to go and do the thing that I have done since Groundhog's Day 1992 on major market radio stations all across this land. Any station I want to do it on, I can't do it on. Or for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't get it. Probably has a lot to do with the fact that I refuse to talk politics. I don't know. Peter checking in the chat room. Peter going, "You're still the highlight of my afternoon. Thank you." You fucking people. Do you have any idea what that means to me? I mean, I know it's just a throwaway line that you say in a chat room, but holy shit, man. Thank you, Peter. Peter, by the way, thank you as well. Cameron outdistanced you, but Peter is a big supporter of this show. So I can't thank you enough. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get out of that nonsense. I had a hell of a morning. All right, the stream of consciousness has begun. We're just not onto the topic of the day yet, right? We're talking specifically my day. And it began last night. So CeeLo, who now she's probably going to come. She's going to come sheepishly. Here, let's train it on her corner. Let's see. Oh, there it is. There's her corner. How do we get on the ground? Okay. All right. So she's in that room right there. She's pouting. It's not that she's pouting. It's more that she's being punished. CeeLo. Let's see if she comes out all sheepish. It's okay, baby. Come here. Oh, all right. I hear her chain jingling. Are you really not going to come? You don't get to be mad at me. I'm mad at... Come here, CeeLo. Come here. Wait till you hear this story. Oh, there she is. All right, sit, stay. Hey, no, don't. No, I didn't. There you go. We'll put it on you right here. All right, there you go. All right, so this is all about you. This is all about this little monster today. You know what she did? You got out, didn't you? Yeah, you did. You got out of the yard, and there was an open house at a big fancy mansion. Don't you look away at me. Look at me. Hey. Yeah, you better pout. She got out. There's like one of these big mansions down the street. We do this show from Highland Park, Texas. Stupid rich mansion town. There's a big open house going on. So there's all these like late... Jesus, dog. I gotta pull this back. Get a second camera. Get one of them fancy switchers. Maybe we get some advertisers. Problem is, never mind. So here's what she did. There's a big open house going on. There's cars all over the neighborhood. There's fancy cars, people walking around. They're walking the block. Apparently there's 3 houses. This house is one of them that's for sale on this block, but we're not involved in whatever's going on. And there's all these people. It's a big crowd of people. And this apparently got the dog triggered because people are dwelling in front of the house and the house down the street, and they're walking and they're looking, and the dog is going, who are all these people? So the dog got a running start. And as I've told you, she is a Catahoula bulldog. She got a running start, and she flung herself at the fence, and she went right through the fence. Luckily, I heard this. I heard the smashing of the boards, and I went, what the hell was that? And I look, and I see it from my perch here in the studio, and I have to run down there, and I know what's up. The dog is out, and there's a million people on the street, and the dog isn't going to know what to do. And God forbid one of these people walk up to the house, because, the dog's incredibly protective of the house. So my fear is, holy crap, there's a fancy lady who's about to get mauled by my dog because my dog thinks that they shouldn't be, in the neighborhood, because the dog's very protective. She's also very sweet, though. Like she's not, and that's the ace in the hole. Because, what I've just described to you, you would think that knowing that she's out there running around, I'm like, oh, she could be out there mauling people. And she's not out there mauling. She's not mauling people. She gets out all the time. She doesn't maul anybody. As a matter of fact, I find her because she's run up to somebody and somebody's rubbing her belly and she's laying there getting her belly. That's how she is when she's out in the wild. But when she's in her yard, she's a different story. She's a scary, scary bitch. Literally. So I spent a good half hour chasing her on foot before I gave up on that. Seriously, there was a moment because you begin the dog pursuit on foot because you think I can get her quickly and this won't escalate and she's just 2 houses down and I'll get her. But as soon as I get 2 houses down, she has already seen me. So now she's 5 houses down. She's running and she's looking back at me while she's running. You're doing it like she is purposefully running from me. So at that point, I just said to myself, I go, you know what? I am an old man. I am not going to play this game. I'm going to chase her in the car or I'm not going to chase her at all. But I had to go back half a block to where my car was in the driveway. And then, of course, my keys were in the house. So I had to go in the house, get the keys, get the car. I don't know where she is. And in my mind, I'm going, you know what? If she's dead, fine. I'll be sad for a little bit. But you know what? She shouldn't. I finally caught her. I caught her with a box of cookies. I grabbed a box of cookies when I grabbed the keys. And, that's her kryptonite. No, actually, it wouldn't be her kryptonite. It would be her. Well, it is her weakness, cookies. So I caught her. She's down by the tollway. She's looking at the cars on the tollway. There's a bridge over the tollway. Sitting on the bridge. There's the Highland Park cop coming, right? And the dog is off leash, just sitting there. So I pull over. I see her. I jump out of the car. I see the cop. The cop sees what's going on. The cop stops, puts his lights on in the intersection. The cookies worked. She came right up to me. She took the cookies. I picked her up, but now I got another problem, right? Now I got to handle this cop. I got to figure out what's going on with this cop. Is this going to be a thing or is he going to be cool? He was cool. He just went, you got her? I go, I got her. He's like, all right, have a good day. I'm like, I will. Because, I didn't want to get into a whole thing. Over officious cop might want to be, well, let's check her papers. And she's fine. She's fine. She's up, but I don't want, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to know the cops here in town. When you know the cops in town, it's either because you're crooked and, you're trying to make them like you or you're a dirtbag and they know you anyway. So I got her, I bring her back, and I spent the last 45 minutes. This is why we were 10 minutes late getting on the air today, because I'm filthy. My hands are filthy. Spent the last 45 minutes building a wall out of loose boards. And I had to fix the fence. And now I'm not sure how fixed it is. After this show, I'm going to have to go to Home Depot. What does that cost? What is a board in there? What is that going to cost? Everything costs. Stupid dog. I love her, but I'm mad at her and I'm being mean to her on purpose. Because she's got to associate when she gets out and runs like that. The next couple of hours, I'm a dick to her. I'm a jerk to her. By the way, you know what I did? She didn't get a cookie. Oh, are you kidding me? I lured her with the cookie, but she didn't get a cookie. You don't get a cookie for that, you dummy. Although maybe I should have given her a cookie because she needs to associate that she's always going to get a cookie, and that's a reason to come. If she thinks I'm probably not going to, she's smart. She'll figure it out. Anyway, that was my day. That was my day with my dog so far. How's your day been going? Also, it's 81 degrees. How is it 81 degrees on March 3rd? Can we not do this anymore? 71. 71 would be great. How about this weekend? Did you guys see this weekend? What did you guys do this weekend? This was the most glorious weekend in the history of weekends. This weekend was amazing. You know what I did? I binge watched Better Call Saul. And tried to recover a bunch of videos from a library. Oh God, I have to recut things. Anyway, I had a rough weekend. Not rough. You know what? We're healthy. We're good. We feel fine, right? We're good. Not rough, just stresses. The stresses of life. You go through it, I go through it. You don't need me. You come here to decompress. You come here to, kind of loosen up. Do you? I don't know. I don't know what you come here for. This is a stream of consciousness. This is what happens. You just start talking and you don't worry about what you're going to say next because you trust that it's going to be gold, Jerry. Gold. All right, let's get started. The High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran, begins now. It is the 4th day of March, year of our Lord 2024. March 4th is the 63rd day of the year. There are 302 more of these bad boys remaining until New Year's Eve. So as we'd like to say, get those New Year's Eve plans started. Adam Moreno went to an amazing concert Saturday. I know who he went and saw. Jenny Lewis. I saw him. He was texting about it. Went to an amazing concert Saturday and then had a run day out in Denton yesterday. Peter Lufkin's excited. March Madness is upon us. Who you liking? Connecticut? You Husky guy? Who you liking? I don't know. It's none of my teams that I follow are any good in college basketball, so I haven't been following this year. What is happening? Oh, hold on. Something weird's going on with my phone. There we go. Speaking of my phone, I watched something really good that I'd never seen before. Watched it late Saturday night. By the way, I didn't watch that Adam Sandler Spaceman movie. I know on Friday I told you the new Spaceman movie. It's called Spaceman, starring Adam Sandler on Netflix. It looked pretty good. I watched like the first 15 minutes of it and I went, nah. So maybe I'll go back to it. Maybe it's good. Maybe you saw it. But I watched something else. I watched something that I thought was really interesting. I don't know how true it is. But I love the stories of true stories of like big businesses, like companies, like for instance, like the Uber story. Like there was a miniseries made about the Uber story. It was really good. There was a miniseries made about Spotify. It was interesting. There was a miniseries made about WeWork, right? That I thought was really good. The WeWork one I thought was great. In fact, I watched a couple on WeWork. So I watched a movie last Saturday night on Hulu. And I highly recommend it. It's very interesting if you like these kinds of things. It's called BlackBerry. Yeah, and it's the story of BlackBerry phones. Stars Jay Baruchel, who is great and everything, and Glenn Howerton, Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And it's really good. BlackBerry is a really interesting story about how BlackBerry got their ass handed to him by iPhone and Steve Jobs. It's like do you remember BlackBerry? BlackBerry was huge. I had a BlackBerry. Everybody had a BlackBerry. And then the iPhones came in and then it was like, whoop, no more BlackBerry. That company had a market cap. That company was worth billions and billions of dollars and now it's worth absolutely nothing. Anyway, it's good. I can recommend that. That's what I saw this week on Hulu. Peter says, it was good, fascinating. Did Peter see the BlackBerry movie? Is that what he's talking about? It helps in the chat room because I will sometimes glance at the chat room and see something that I talked about, a minute or so earlier, like now. So it's just probably good practice to put regarding and then put whatever it is and then your statement. Just thinking. Yeah, the BlackBerry was fascinating. Thank you, Peter. Peter and I liking the same stuff. Look at that. All right, let's get into the first run of the show, quarter one. We call it Antecedently on This Day. This is where we take a look back at some of the events that have helped shape our understanding of what this day, March 4th. I almost said March 3rd. What this day, March 4th, is all about. On this day, antecedently in the year 1493, explorer Christopher Columbus arrives back in Lisbon. That's in Portugal, don't you know? Aboard his ship, the Niña. This is why he went to the Bahamas and the Caribbean. This is like the trip, right? 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. 1493, he got back. Man, travel times. It took forever to get places back then. Antecedently on this day in 1789 in New York City, the first Congress of these here United States meets, putting the United States Constitution into effect. On this day, happy birthday, Constitution. Bunch of you pocket constitutionalists out there running around being weird with your pocket constitution. I had a dude pull out a pocket constitution on me once. I'm like, you're weird. You're a weirdo, dude. Antecedently on this day in the year 1837, my favorite city on this planet was incorporated. Happy birthday, Chicago! My hometown. I had to think about that. I was like, is it because I always talk about my favorite city, like my favorite global city, I think is Dublin. Dublin and London. Those are like two like foreign cities that I really love. And then I love New York. I love New York. New York is, I guess, would be my, because I had to think about this. I'm like, you can't get away from where you're born. You can't get away from, when you were 5 years old, what you were all about. So there you go. Happy birthday, Chicago. 61, the first national flag of the Confederate States of America. The Stars and Bars is adopted on this day in 1861. And I love this next one. 1865, the third and final national flag of the Confederate States is adopted by the Confederate Congress. Here's what I love about it. So on this day in 1861, the first Confederate flag was unveiled, and they went, yeah, that's it. And then in 1865, the third and final one was, so that says that like there were dudes who were like getting all, queer eye about the flag. Like Confederate guys are like, I just don't know. Well, I just think it could be brighter. Well, I just think the colors need to pop more. I mean, what were they arguing about with the flag? 3 different versions of that stupid thing? Come on. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Antecedently on this day in 1966, in an interview in the London Evening Standard, the Beatles' John Lennon declares that the band The Beatles are more popular than Jesus. Making his my favorite John Lennon quote. I don't do a John Lennon impersonation, but this is my favorite John Lennon quote. I never meant to say we were more popular than Jesus. It's just something I said. Now all this. I love it. I never meant to say we were more popular. Well, you did mean to say it, but what you meant was completely excusable. You were just being, you're a creative. You speak in a very hyperbolic and sometimes, artistic way. So if somebody asked you, are you amazing? And by the way, that's the thing that's always missing. What was the question? What led up to it? The question was, what do you account for your global popularity? He said, I don't know. He goes, it's like we're more popular than Christianity. That's what he said. He was kidding. He was going, I know. It's like we're bigger than Christian, that's just. And then they burned all the records, and the Beatles are the devil. All right. On this day, antecedently, in 1990, American basketball player Hank Gathers dies after collapsing during a semifinal West Coast Conference tournament game. Hank Gathers, that was Loyola Marymount, right? That was sad, because then we saw video of that, and it was like back in the time when we didn't see videos of these things. Video cameras were just kind of starting to come around, and things were first starting. We saw a video of that. Hank Gathers collapsing on the court. There you go. That was on this day in 1990. Antecedently on this day in 2018, former MI6 spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter are poisoned with Novichok nerve agent in Salisbury, England, causing a diplomatic uproar in the UK that leads to the mass expulsion of diplomats from all the countries involved. This is notable because I remember this story. I remember when this happened. This was so weird. This was a father and daughter. They had dinner together, and both of them ended up poisoned. So something occurred at this dinner, and this is where there was all that talk about, the Get Smart, Bourne, James Bondy stuff. Oh, I got poked with an umbrella. Well, maybe they put something in their drink, whatever it was. But this was one of it's not the first, but it's the case of the Novichok poisonings, which is what Putin has done many times. We know this. He poisons people. That's how he gets rid of them. It's his favorite way to eliminate, an opposition. But when he did this was a weird one, because it was like this dude was retired and it was his daughter who did nothing. It's like they just randomly went after 2 people. Anyway, there you go. It was on this day in 2018. That's going to do it for quarter 1. Let's get into quarter 2. Bonum. They say it's the birthday. Thank you, Peter. Peter says that was a pretty good Lennon impression. I never meant to say we were more popular than Jesus. It's just something I said. Now all this. Let's see here. Let's do some birthdays. People born on this day, or so they claim. I'm not going to do the legwork and check out the county off, especially in the case of this guy. Born in 1745. Who knows if there's paperwork that says Casimir Pulaski was born on this day? Who's Casimir Pulaski? See, this is I don't know, maybe you don't know who he is, but I'll tell you, everybody in Chicago knows who Casimir Pulaski is, because every kid gets that day off from school. It's Pulaski Day. Pulaski Day. Oh, we love our Polish people in Chicago. Casimir Pulaski, he was a He was a Polish war hero and general and, strategic, really well-regarded global strategic dude. And he came over here to America because he hated the English. He was like, he's English. He was like, can you use me? I think he taught cavalry. Isn't that? Didn't he like teach everybody how to ride on horses and fight on horses? I don't know, whatever it was. Casimir Pulaski, also a fine street, Pulaski Road in Chicago. Born on this day in 1745. Born on this day in 1888, Knut Rockne. That's right, the legendary coach of Notre Dame football, the coach who put Notre Dame on the map, made them the University of College Football in America for about 60, 70 years in this country. That's not the case anymore. I mean, I still love them. Don't get me wrong. They're not the University of Football in America anymore. They're what Notre Dame could say. We're a proud and traditional college football once powerhouse now. I mean, they're always ranked. They're a top 25 team every season. So, I don't know. But as far as there was a time when Knut Rockne was they blew everybody out. They were just destroying everyone. And by the way, it is Knut. It's not Newt. I know a lot of people are like, Knut Rockne, All-American. No, it's Knut. It's the pronunciation. He pronounced the K. The K is not silent. It's Knut. Born on this day in 1888. Born on this day in 1948. How about a big happy celebration to a local treasure? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tom Creeve's birthday. That's right. He's been the voice of the Rangers since the 90s. I think he's Mr. Ranger, right? Isn't that what we call Tommy? Mr. Ranger. Played outfield on the very first Texas Rangers team. I think he also played for the Senators. Didn't he play for the Senators? Wasn't he drafted by them? But then they moved to Texas and became the Texas Rangers. Anyway, he is Tom Creeve, the voice of your Texas Rangers. One of the greats in the game. Mr. Ranger. Tommy Creeve. Hi, Frank Smith. You take the time to say hi to me in the chat room. I'm going to shout it right back out at you. Those are the rules that we have here. 1948, born on this day, Chris Squire. Who is Chris Squire? All right, music nerds. Come on, music nerds. Let's all get together. Chris Squire is probably the best bass player of the 1970s, I should say. But what's certainly one of the most appreciated bass players of the prog rock movement. Of course, Chris Squire, founder of Yes, not the front man, but founder. Chris Squire. Chris Squire was very good friends with a very good friend of mine, and I had never met Chris Squire, but I heard him on the phone once. My friend, because my friend was like, Chris Squire. I'm like, cool. My friend Gary ran a recording studio in Chicago, and for some reason, Chris Squire loved him, engineering him. So there you go. Anyway, Gary's dead. That's not fun for me, but okay. Chris Squire's dead too, though. So they're both dead. They're hanging out. Do you know what they're doing? They're just jamming in the studio up in heaven. Chris Squire, born on this day, this very day in 1948. Born on this day in 1954. How about this American treasure? And she's Canadian. Is she Canadian? Yeah, she's Canadian. She's Canadian, but she's an American treasure. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Catherine O'Hara's birthday. Catherine O'Hara draft. We're not going to do a Catherine O'Hara draft. I wouldn't even know where to start with a Catherine O'Hara draft. Catherine O'Hara. Okay, so, and I think this is great. It took very late in her career for people like, your aunt, it took years. It took not the end of her career, because she's still a vibrant woman. But it took late in her career for people to kind of, and it was Schitt's Creek, right? She had this hit with Schitt's Creek, and everybody all of a sudden started going, hey, that Catherine O'Hara, she's pretty good. And then somebody's like, yeah, she's been pretty good for 40 years. And then they're like, oh my God. And then people are like, holy shit, she's done it. She was Kevin's mom in Home Alone. People don't realize everything that Catherine O'Hara has done. It's like, you can't. How do you do a Catherine O'Hara draft? The Catherine O'Hara draft for me would be, 5 sketches from Second City. She was SCTV, one of the originals. She's a treasure. She's incredible in the Chris Guest movies. Oh my God, she's so funny. I've made my son love her too, because I made my son start to watch the Chris Guest movies. We watched Best in Show, and we watched Mighty Wind, and then we also watched, what else did we watch with? Anyway, throughout it all, every time Catherine O'Hara would come on screen, I'm like, she's a national treasure. You need to know who she is. And he's like, she's Kevin's mom from Home Alone. I go, yep. And he's like, okay, I know who she is. Catherine O'Hara, happy birthday. I love her. Kind of sexy too, like sexy, like 35-year-old Catherine O'Hara, like Kevin McAllister's mom, Catherine O'Hara. That era, she was hot, man. She was a good-looking woman. She was a fine-looking woman. She still is. She's a beautiful woman. Anyway, moving on. Born on this day in 1967. How about Evan Dando? Evan Dando's coming to town. That's the dude I'd go see. Or maybe he was already here. He might have already been here. I'm not sure. KB artist shouting out Lola Heatherton. I want to bury your child. Ha! Loved Lola Heatherton. Evan Dando. I don't know where he was. He was just in town. I heard somebody say he was in town. Maybe he's coming to town. I don't know. Whatever. I would go see Evan Dando. I mean, I don't have any money, so and I don't work at radio anymore, so it's not like people are like, "Hey, want free tickets?" That used to be nice, but it's Evan Dando. I know a place where I can go when I'm alone. Lemonheads. I used to love the Lemonheads. He was their lead singer. Evan Dando, he had about 18 months. There was about 18 months where Evan Dando was the sexiest man in rock and roll. So I'm not kidding you. Like when alt was just starting to boom, like all the girls were like, Evan Dando is so beautiful. That whole thing. So he was that guy, but he's also really good. I saw him a couple of years ago. I think it was 15 years ago. It had to have been because I was still here and it was in Deep Ellum. I don't remember what club it was, but he came through and he did a solo show and it was sold out and it was awesome. And I'm like, man, Evan Dando on a stool with a guitar, that's pretty good. He's pretty good. Lemonheads. How would you know the Lemonheads? Like, what are they most famous for? Their remake of Mrs. Robinson. Yeah, that's probably their biggest hit, I think. Into Your Arms was another big hit from them. I don't know. Moving on. Byron Granger shouting out Beetlejuice for Catherine O'Hara. That's right. You totally forgot she was in Beetlejuice. Totally forgot. All right, let's keep going here. Evan Dando, born on this day in 1967, American singer, songwriter, and a guitarist. There you go, Bill Falk. That's right, I forgot. Evan Dando. It's a shame about rain. Yeah, that was a good one too. He did have some okay. All right, I got you. I mean, I like the Lemonheads, but I don't know if they were popular. Like I had the CDs, right, rolling around in my Celica back in the mid-90s. Let's see here. How did I have a nicer car in my mid-90s than I do now? Whoa, that's called failure, ladies and gentlemen. All right. On this day in 1972, I'll mention this. You may not know his name. I'll mention his name because it gives me an opportunity to talk about something else that I did yesterday afternoon. Born on this day in 1972, and it just crushes me that this dude is younger than me. He's younger than me by only a couple of years, but he's younger than me. Jos Verstappen. Ladies and gentlemen, Jos Verstappen, Dutch Formula One racing driver, was born on this day in 1972. And I mention him for one reason, and one reason only, because his little boy Max is the most dominant F1 driver since Lewis Hamilton, which was just a couple of years ago. But still, 3 drivers' championships, I think, now for Max Verstappen. F1 season started yesterday. Dubai. Or no, was it Bahrain? I get Dubai and Bahrain mixed up. I think it was Bahrain. I was so excited too about the new Formula One season because I've been reading all of this stuff about Mercedes and about how Mercedes has this new car. And this new Mercedes car is supposed to be incredible. And it was getting really great times in qualifying. And people were buzzing. They're like, whoa, there's going to be a challenger to Red Bull because you see, Red Bull dominates Formula One. I was explaining this to somebody yesterday. They called me. I was watching Formula One. I'm like, dude, I'm watching Formula One. It's like, I don't even understand. Like, what, doesn't the same guy win every time? And I'm like, oh, my man. Yeah, the same guy wins every time. And that guy's name is Max Verstappen. He wins every time. His dad, Jos, is celebrating a birthday today. But it's not about the guy who wins. It's not a Formula One race is not about who wins first. I mean, you can pretty much guess which car is fastest on that track based on qualifying. And barring any kind of a mishap, a car that gets out to an early lead isn't going to surrender it. Max Verstappen led the entire race. And it was funny, too, because in the formation lap, Jean Leclerc had an opportunity to pass him, but you can't do that in the formation lap. So Jean Leclerc had to back off, and all the announcers were like, well, that was a really good start in the formation lap for Jean Leclerc. Let's see if he can pull that off at the start of the race. And the race starts, and he couldn't pull that off. Verstappen just went, wow, and led. The thing about Formula One is the race for 10th place. That's what you got to understand. There's a bunch of different things that you're watching for. There's podium, which is first, second, and third. You want to see who's going to get first, second, and third. It's almost always a combination of Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. Almost always. So that's why you don't really watch that stuff. You watch 10th, because even though there are 20 cars that enter each race, only 10 of them get points. Anyway, happy birthday, Jos Verstappen. I can talk Formula One. I can talk entry-level Formula One for hours. I love it. Happy birthday, Jos Verstappen, father of Max Verstappen. I'm starting to like Max Verstappen too, which is I didn't like him. I didn't like him earlier in his career. I thought he was an android. I thought he was a robot, which was scary because you're like, okay, this guy is like good and he has no emotion and he's completely. But now that he's a 3-time champion, Verstappen's like Mr. Person A. He's smiling. He's happy. He's done it. 3-time champion. Also born on this day in 1990, Draymond Green. He's a character. All right, let's do deads. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. This is quarter 3. This is where we talk about the people who have died on this day. We open up their life's resume and we decide right then and there. This is an extended standing ovation. Why? Why the extended standing ovation? Because this person's going straight to hell. Heaven. Hell? That's terrible. Bullet train to heaven. Today's the day John Candy died. John Candy. I didn't have to see this. I follow his kids. His kids are on Twitter. His kids. John Candy's kids are like my age and older, but I follow them on Twitter. They're interesting. They both did really beautiful tributes today that got, retweeted and all that kind of stuff. John Candy, what can I say about John Candy other than he died on this day in 1994, the very same day as Catherine O'Hara's birthday? Who is fucking with Catherine O'Hara in this way? Seriously, Catherine O'Hara's birthday? She got a phone call that John Candy is dead. John Candy, her longtime comedy partner on Second City. That's sad, right? All right, so John Candy, what do we say about John Candy? John Candy draft? Again, wouldn't know where to start. I don't know how to do a John Candy draft. Everything with John Candy is, again, moments. Yes, tremendous actor. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Jesus Christ, if we could do over on that, he'd get an Oscar. That was one of the most compelling, dramatic roles with comedy sprinkled in. Dell in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That character that John Candy plays, that broken man who is no matter what, staying optimistic, staying positive. When in reality, he's broken. He's got no hope. God, he was great. Made my son cry. Yeah, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles just a couple of weeks ago. We were watching it, and at that scene where it's revealed that John Candy's wife is dead. And that all of these stories he's been telling about her, I look over, my kid's crying. I'm like, I have a human being. I'm like, I got a human being. He's not a soulless monster. That was good. What else about John Candy? I mean, I don't know, dramatic roles? How about JFK? How about that freaky role he played in JFK? It's one of his last roles, and he looks so unhealthy. Chain smoking, sweaty, as heavy as he's ever been. What else about John Candy? Uncle Buck. John Candy, he's going to heaven. John Candy, dead on this day in 1994. What else can I say? Dead on this day in 1996, also going to heaven. Minnie Pearl. I know I got a rule about actresses, but she's not really an actress. She was just America's favorite country grandma. That's who she was. How are you going to put Minnie Pearl in hell? Minnie Pearl, she's going to heaven. Dead on this day in 1999. This is another weird one. This is a guy you don't know, but this is a guy who's kind of a hero of mine. Not a hero, because you want to talk about separating the art from the artist. This is person who's going to hell. This person is absolutely in hell, but wanted to be in hell. This person is one of, okay, so dead on this day in 1999, Del Close, D-E-L Close, Del Close. Who is Del Close? Del Close is an acting coach. Not even an acting coach. He is responsible. He would be like the coach. Like if you think about actors and performers as needing coaching, as needing to learn how to do it, as that kind of thing. If you're a comedic actor in America and you did comedy in America between 1970 and 1995, Del Close was probably your coach, your mentor, the guy who taught you everything. Del Close famously worked at the Second City in Chicago, where he mentored everybody from John Belushi to Bill Murray to Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert, all Tina Fey, all of these people worship at the altar of Del Close. There's a great documentary about him. I don't know what it's called. I think it's available on Amazon Prime if you got it, but it's really interesting, and it's done in a very strange way because Del Close was a very strange man. Just Google Del Close documentary. It'll come up. I forgot what it's called, but he was a madman. He was a drug addict. He had all kinds of mental problems, but he was also a comedy genius who essentially, I mean, the way people performed comedy on screen in the 1980s and in the 1990s was different. It was a different style of comedy performance. And that's the Bill Murray performance, it's the all of that stuff. That's Del Close. He's in hell because he was a crazy person. But interestingly enough, the rumor is that Bill Murray has Del Close's skull. There you go, Al Gamboa. Del Close documentary is called For Madmen Only. Del Close. For Madmen Only. I believe it's on Prime or something. It's interesting. It's interesting to me, because I know the guy, I'd met the guy, I'd seen the guy in the wild, being wild. He was wild. Bill Murray apparently has his skull because they had joked in life. Bill Murray and Del Close are very close friends. And they had joked in life that should one of them die, the other has to acquire their skull and use it in productions of Hamlet. And the skull has to get billing. So in other words, Bill Murray has his skull, and Bill Murray at some point is supposed to perform Hamlet somewhere, even if it's at like a little dinner theater. Maybe he already has, because again, Del Close has been dead. Maybe this has already gone down, but the skull was supposedly going to be Del Close's skull. And in the playbill, it would say role of Yorick. I believe it's the last poor Yorick. The role of Yorick, the skull that he holds, will be played by Del Close. He's in hell, though. But man, he was a genius. He was a genius, and he's responsible for a whole lot of stuff that we've enjoyed over the past 30 years. And we don't know his name, but we should. Del Close, burning in hell. Dead on this day in 2019. I'm sorry, but Del Close dead on this day in 1999. Dead on this day in 2019. Sound it out. Dead on this day in 2019, Luke Perry. I'm going to put Luke Perry in hell. Dylan from 90210. There's no reason for, that guy. How old was he? Young, right? All right, so he was 34. No, well, hold on. I'm doing the math. I don't know. I could just click on it. I got confused. I'm trying to do the math. Okay, he was born then, but it's not an easy year to be born. Whatever. He died. Cancer. Terrible, right? I mean, he seemed like a good dude. He seemed like I didn't want him to be a good dude because, I was at an age when he appeared on my TV screen. I immediately saw him as a threat. I was like, oh, great. So now I got to grow sideburns. Now all the girls expect sideburns, right? That's who he was. He was like that guy. So if you were another dude, you were like, Oh, this fucking guy. He's like, nobody's going to be as handsome as him. We can't be him. Now girls want Luke Perry. But he turned out to be cool. He turned out to be really good in interviews and seemingly very self-deprecating and all that. So we're going to put him in heaven. He seemed like a good dude. Luke Perry, dead on this day in 2019. All right, folks, that's it. That's it. By the way, we want to remind everybody, today's executive producer is the wonderful Cam. Thank you so much. Byron says, I don't think it was cancer. It wasn't? Let me click. All right, I'll click on it. Why not? I'll click on it. Because now I know how old he was. He was 50. 52. He was 52. Luke Perry was 52. Death. Let's see here. Perry suffered a massive ischemic stroke. Okay, there you go. I don't know what that is. What is an ischemic stroke? At his home in Sherman Oaks, California. After his second stroke, his family decided to remove him from life support. He died on March 4th, 52. Blah, blah, blah. He was buried at the... Blah, blah, blah. Really? What an asshole am I? Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. What is an ischemic stroke? During an ischemic stroke, blood supply to parts of the brain is decreased, leading to dysfunction of the brain tissue in that area. Okay, I'm not going to be able to grasp any of that. That's too bad. All right. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate Cam being today's executive producer. Also, the scroll down there, you can see the magic number for the week is 250. As a human being, I need to earn $250 doing this show by the end of the show Thursday. If you can get us there, that's great. We continue. If not, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Like I say, it's not going to be just a complete stop, right? But it's been rough the last couple of months raising money, and I don't understand how it's gotten so rough. I'm not spending any more money. It's the same amount that we need every month. It's only like $500. I mean, we don't need that much a month. It's not that much. All right, well, let's go. Anyway, let's move on. Q4, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to leave up here on the screen how you can help out the show if you're so inclined. All right, let's go. Let's get into what is happening. Somebody jumped in the chat room earlier and was talking about 9-0. 9-0. That's it. The United States Supreme Court ruled 9-0. A clean sweep, a clean sweep, a clean slate, and a clean sweep. Two different phrases. What does this prove? I'll tell you, this proves what most normal people thought from the beginning, that the Secretary of State in Colorado is a nut job, and she is. She's a young woman trying to make a name for herself. She's doing this for Colorado. She's like this kind of person. Oh, shut up. I don't like the idea of states being able to say, nope, this person, because what do we say? Slippery slope. That's what this is. Slippery slope. Can't do it. You got to let people decide. You got to let people have an opportunity. Look, they can just write them in anyway, but he can't appear on the ballot. It's just such a bitch move. So thankfully, the Supreme Court did what they should do, and all of them, even like the most liberal judges, were like, you can't do this. This woman is a nutbag. All right, there you go. I mean, it's been, I think they said 14 days since they heard the arguments. And at the end of the 14 days after the arguments, everybody was like, can't they just issue their ruling now? Isn't this kind of open and shut? And they didn't. They made us wait 14 days. The stall. That's called in journalism the stall. Do you know what the stall is? The stall happens all the time. A stall is instituted during the natural unfurling of a story in order to control people, to stop people from, getting all ginned up and freaking out. The most common occurrence of the stall is toxicology. It's always like, well, they died today, and even though it's 2024 and, we can basically travel through time, we got all kinds of technology. They died today. It's going to be 7 weeks before we get the toxicology back. No, it's not going to be that's a stall. That's where, in that case, it's the government, the coroner's office, or whomever, just going, all right, we need to slow this story down. We need to let them know it's going to be a long time before they get the real results. So that's what these 14 days, but I don't understand what the stall was for with this Supreme Court decision when it was pretty much widely known that within a day or so that this was going to go 9-0, that there was no argument for the crazy Secretary of State in Colorado. Now, this doesn't mean that he should be president, but what it means is that if you're running for president, the people have a right to hear from you. You can't just be. Now, here's what I would say. I think there is some teeth to the idea that you can't be on a ballot if you're a convicted felon, but he hasn't even been to trial yet. And it doesn't matter if you think he's guilty. It doesn't matter if you think he's going to be proven guilty. He hasn't been. And until he is, you're going to revisit the stuff. Go back and revisit it after he's been, or if in fact he's proven guilty. But you can't just do it when there's charges against people and go, he participated in an insurrection and therefore he's invalidated on our ballot. No, he didn't participate in an insurrection. I mean, he might have, but we haven't heard that yet. I don't give a fuck what you think personally. This has got to be adjudicated, and it's going to be adjudicated. So, personal thoughts aside, Secretary of State of Colorado, you screwed the pooch here, and hopefully you've endeared yourself to a pocket of voters in Colorado who will give you a career now. And I think that was her play from the very beginning. All right, so that's the Supreme Court decision. 9-0. They say Trump stays on the ballot in Colorado. Or Colorado, you can go kick rocks. You don't have to be a part of this country anymore. You look a lot like Canada. You may as well just be Canada. In other news coming out of the Trump organization, how about Weiselberg? He's the CEO of Trump Org. Apparently, he lied on the stand. He was on the stand a couple months back, and he lied. Rich banker dude in a suit lying. Really? You don't say. So they caught him. They're like, and so today he was charged with perjury. Let me see, or fraud. Hold on, let me give you this really quickly. Again, we're not going to get into the weeds on this, but you should know just the basics. Former Trump CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Doesn't matter. He's a C-suite guy. Former Trump CFO Weiselberg admits to perjury and will not have to testify in hush money trial. Okay. I don't know what that means. Alan Weiselberg, the former chief financial officer of Donald Trump's company, pled guilty Monday in New York City to lying under oath during his testimony in the ex-president's civil fraud case. I've already lost interest in this story. There you go. You can find out more. Seriously, just go to AM Talk or whatever, I'm sure. Well, actually, that might not be a story they're covering on AM Talk. Because that's not, unless they're looking to like make a whole segment out of like, overzealous prosecutor, that whole thing, maybe. Although other big economic news here in this country, JetBlue and Spirit Airlines. That's right. The Greyhound bus of the airline industry. That's what these two are. JetBlue and Spirit. Never flown either. Never flown JetBlue or Spirit. Probably having more to do with the fact that I don't fly very much. I don't fly. That's a rich man sport, flying. I don't fly. Can't remember the last time I flew somewhere. If I can drive there, I'll drive there because it's cheaper than flying. But people who fly a lot, the elites like to poke fun at Spirit. They like to poke fun at JetBlue, right? Big joke. I go, I don't know. I always buy Southwest. I fly 2 places between Chicago and Dallas. That's it. That's Southwest. That's Love Field and Midway. It's a beautiful flight. It's easy. You're in, you're out. But apparently JetBlue and Spirit Airlines suck. And they've been trying to merge. They've been trying to merge their suckiness, but now apparently they're not going to be allowed to merge. This was like a big deal today. Let's see what this is. Is it the government? Is the government saying that these two shitty ass airlines can't combine their shitty ass airlines to one giant shitty ass airline? Is that what's happening? JetBlue Airways announced Monday it is pulling out of its deal to purchase Spirit Airlines. The decision comes in the wake of a federal court ruling blocking the deal from taking place on antitrust grounds. There's like 1 million airlines. What do you mean antitrust grounds? Is it because Spirit Airlines and JetBlue are both like the shittiest airlines and they have the lowest prices and they just compete with each other to keep the prices low? Is that what the ruling's about? If that's what the ruling's about, then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I get it now. But if it's just to stop two businesses from merging, it's like, let them merge. Let them merge. Southwest is pretty cheap. I don't know if this changes anything. I mean, what if one went out of business, right? Someone will take its place. Let them merge. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know anything about business. Moving on. But I know JetBlue and Spirit Airlines apparently both suck. Let's see. Also, what do we have? Dune 2. Did anybody go to the movies and see Dune 2 this weekend? Apparently, it's a big hit. And why not? Dune 1 was exceptional. I loved Dune 1, and I had very low expectations. That's the best kind of movie experience, isn't it? When you have very little or no expectations on something and you sit there and about 20 minutes in, you're like, okay, I am totally gripped by that. That was Dune for me. I like the sandworms. Sorry, spice worms. I like the whole vibe of it. It's dystopian, but it's also, I don't know. Anyway, I like the movie Dune. So Dune 2 did really well at the box office. Dune 2 jolts sleepy box office with 81.5 million opening. Now, how much bigger? How big is that? Well, here's something for you to consider. 81.5 million in its opening nights domestically, right? This is how big of a hit it was. 81.5 million. Dune, the first Dune, was a huge hit. And it's why the second one is so anticipated. The first one was a huge hit. It only did 43 million. A huge hit at 43 million. Or won the box office, won the weekend at 43 million. So this one almost doubled that. Dune Part 2, the long-awaited sequel to one of the most popular science fiction adaptations in recent years, secured the number one spot in its opening weekend with a strong 81.5 million in domestic sales, according to studio estimates. Globally, the film has grossed already 178.5 million in its first weekend, where we're almost at a quarter of where we need to cross the $1 billion mark in its first weekend. All right, Dune, big movie. There you go. I won't see it till it comes on Netflix or something. Or what will it come on? HBO Max? Whatever. I don't know. Do I need to rewatch Dune 1? You know, when I watched Dune 1, I watched it, and then I went back and watched 1984's Dune, which I hated. I always hated that movie, and I was like, I can't believe I'm watching the new one. That was one of the reasons I had little expectations for the new one, because I hated the 1984 one. It was so weird, and it was so dumb, and it made no sense. And maybe it was because I was 11 or 12, and I didn't get, the artistic vision of whatever, but anyway, there you go. What else do we have? How about this? Caitlin Clark, ladies and gentlemen. Caitlin Clark. So, by the way, last night I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm on HBO. Curb Your Enthusiasm's back on HBO, and last night very well might be, as my friend Mike, my friend Mike sent me a text last night at 10 o'clock. He said, was that the funniest Curb Your Enthusiasm? That's it. Just a question mark. Was last night's episode the funniest Curb Your Enthusiasm? I didn't respond to him because I hadn't seen it yet. But he ended up watching it later that night. And then it was too late to respond to the text. So I'll do it today. It was really good. It was a really funny Curb Your Enthusiasm last night. Really funny. I mean, they're all funny, but this one was particularly funny. And also great for them, because I'm sure there was a larger audience than normal, because people were reminded that Curb Your Enthusiasm was back because of the passing of Richard Lewis last week, who, weirdly enough, 2 episodes in a row now of Curb Your Enthusiasm, Richard Lewis talks about his death. Now I know you're like, excuse me, are you familiar with Richard Lewis's comedy? His comedy was all about his death. You want to know how Richard Lewis feels about his death? Just listen to, his years and years of stand-up comedy. He was obsessed with his own mortality. But he did. I saw that tweeting today. Richard Lewis talked about his own death. He's like, Richard Lewis talked about his own death all the time. That was his bit. That's why he wore all black all the time. He was, but it was a good episode. And in one of the scenes of Curb Your Enthusiasm last night, Larry was trying to convince people that he was a good guy, that he's not a bad guy, I'm a good guy. And one of the things that he said that made me laugh out loud was, I'm a good guy. I've attended 2 WNBA games. And then they turn to him and they go, really? And he goes, no, but say it anyway. It's like, but that was very funny. I'm a good guy. I've even attended 2 WNBA games. Did you really? No. I can't watch that. So I bring that up because it's interesting that the biggest star in college basketball is named Caitlin Clark. That's the biggest star. Women's basketball is still a joke. Still last night on Curb Your Enthusiasm, they're taking a big joke, a big stab at women's basketball. But here we are in the real world, and Caitlin Clark has passed Pete Maravich, becoming the NCAA Division I basketball scoring leader. She has, it's an incredible achievement for Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark plays Iowa, or is she Iowa State? I'm not sure. She's a Hawkeye. Okay, she's Iowa. By the way, we've missed Jeff. Jeff Ballard. He's not participating live in the show. He's reached out to me. We know what's happening. He's listening on the playbacks, but he's not here live. He's an Iowa guy. He would have been the guy that I would have gone to here for my Caitlin Clark stuff. Actually, I don't know that he would have been, but in what is Caitlin Clark stuff? Well, she's the number one scorer in basketball history. She passed Pete Maravich. Now, here's what nobody's going to say, because it is a terrific accomplishment. She's an incredible scorer. She really is the top name in college basketball in 2024. It's not, Denzel Hayward from the University of Kentucky, and I just made that name up. I don't even know who that would be. But Caitlin Collins is the one that's trending always. She's leading SportsCenter. So why? Why is this happening? This is what people get upset when things are forced on them. This is all being forced on us. Let me throw some cold water on the Caitlin Clark story. An incredible achievement. She's an incredible basketball player. But the narrative is that she's the greatest to ever do it, and she scored better than blah, blah, blah. And they're comparing her to Pete Maravich, and people are like, wow, Pistol Pete? She's better. She scored more than Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete played 3 years, okay? In 3 seasons, Pistol Pete Maravich set his record. This is Caitlin's 4th season. So right there, that's a thing. But secondly, and this is the big one, Pete Maravich was a long ball shooter just like Caitlin Clark. Pete Maravich was cannon things from half court. Pete Maravich, Pistol Pete, he could shoot just like Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has a 3-point shot. There was no such thing as a 3-point shot when Pistol Pete Maravich was becoming the NCAA Division I all-time leading scorer. He did it in 3 years with no 3-point shot. So it's not a fair comparison. It's not. She needs to be compared to other women, or she needs to be compared to maybe somebody who, no, she shouldn't be compared to men. I'm hating this. I think it's wonderful that she's good. And I think it's incredible that women have basketball and that there's this whole, people want to go to them. You can go to the basketball games. That's fine. But it seems to me that there has been, at least over the course of the last 5 years, and specifically the last 1.5 to 2 years surrounding Caitlin Clark, there has been a media push to normalize and mainstream women's basketball. And it's been 20 years of basketball fans going, nah, we'll pass. Curb Your Enthusiasm last night. Curb Your Enthusiasm. A joke, just an offhanded joke. Of course I'm a good guy. I've been to 2 WNBA games. Have you really? Oh, hell no. That's the joke. And that's still a joke. And that's still how a lot of people feel. I don't know. I don't know that I use my son, my 14-year-old son, as a barometer. I don't know that my 15-year-old son, 14, 15, he's going to be 15 soon. I wouldn't know that he would ever go, hey, Dad, let's go to a WNBA game. I don't know that that's, it's great that it exists and it should exist, but it's not the same thing as the economic behemoth that the NBA is. So when you make these women play in these NBA stadiums, and all we see on highlights, when they show highlights, which I don't know why they're showing highlights, all we see is 400 people in a 19,000 seat arena, it looks bad. But from the very beginning, there was this narrative that we're like, it's as big as the men. And that's just not fair to the women. It's not fair to the growth of the sport. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's just not fair. It's not the same thing. my favorite sports station, station in Chicago. There's like two guys on that station that do nothing but talk about the Sky, which is the WNBA team in Chicago. And I'm like, who is listening to this? I'm like, I don't understand. I can't get out of it quick enough. I'm like, really? I don't even know who these people are. It's not the same thing. It's not. Men's basketball is more appealing to many people because it's faster, it's more physical, and they're bigger and they're stronger and it's more powerful and it's a competition. Women's basketball is a beautiful game. It's a beautiful game. It's played the way it was played in Indiana barns in, the 1950s. A lot of passes, a lot of long shots. It's not the same thing. ESPN all weekend long, leading off with this. It's like Caitlin Clark. I'm like, this is a wonderful thing, and it should be a local story in Iowa. And, maybe it should make the national press, and maybe it should be like a page 5 story. But it's not what you lead Sports Center with. Nobody cares about women's basketball, except for the people who are involved, the people who should care about it. It's like women's field hockey. Or not even women's. How about men's beach volleyball, right? I mean, actually, there's probably more of an audience for men's beach volleyball. And what is this about? Is this about, the patriarchal gender roles that, society has forced upon us? That, men's sports are the ones that are interesting and women's sports are lesser because women are shrieking violets and men are beasts? But that's not the reason. I mean, yes, we would rather, for our entertainment, we would rather watch a bunch of beasts, a bunch of big, giant dudes that we go, man, we could never be that. For some reason, there's this weird concerted effort to pretend that women's basketball is bigger than men's basketball. Now, I say all that because it's become a reality. Caitlin Clark is the biggest name in college basketball this year. She is. Is she a transcendent figure? Is Caitlin Clark going to go to some WNBA team and then suddenly have all the cameras? I don't think so. I don't know that Caitlin Clark is going to be famous 1 year after being drafted into the WNBA. She's going to take a pay cut too. They were talking about that. Her pay cut is going to be ridiculous. Her money right now as Caitlin Clark, the Iowa women's basketball player, she's making millions of dollars in that, what is it called? IRL money or whatever it is that college players can get paid now. She's getting national money. She's getting global money as yeah. And by the way, here's the other thing. She seems very nice. Like I saw her being interviewed after it, and she was really, really nice. Like she wasn't like, yeah, it's a good. She wasn't shit talking. She was humble. She was gracious. She was appreciative. So she seems like a nice person. And this isn't a knock against her, but she's not going to make a men's NBA team. Well, she doesn't want to, Pugs. No, I know she doesn't want to, but she also can't, right? Let's just make sure that that's known too. Yeah, no, I don't want to. You can't. You can't. It's good that you don't want to because you can't. And that's the difference. There's a style of basketball that is popular, that packs arenas, that's, LeBron style basketball, Luka style basketball. And it's just not the same thing. And again, I'm not some middle-aged angry man sitting here going, basketball, it should exist. I'm just kind of questioning how it's being mainstreamed so effectively because of the accomplishments of one girl in Iowa shooting threes from half court. I mean, I don't know. She's a phenomena. Let's call it that. She's a phenomena. She's making a lot of money. And I don't know. There's a whole bunch of there have been famous women basketball players before, like Lisa Leslie, right? Cheryl Swopes. She was big. Rebecca Lobo, right? These people were all big names. They were all like front and center names. Oh, they're going to the league and all, well, their league, the women's league. And then you never heard of them again. I don't know what happened to them. So why? How about gymnastics? Let's do that. Let's do sports where women are obviously more dominant than men's. Gymnastics, figure skating. Oh, why are those? I don't know, because for some reason, the feminine body, the feminine skill set, the feminine ballet, if you will, it lends itself more to those sports than it does to, just be, I'm going to dunk, like that. well, you're engaging in gender stuff. Am I? Or am I just saying, body types and all that stuff? Who knows? Women want to try and dunk. They can dunk. Isn't there women who dunk? I think there are women who dunk now. I don't know. That was for a long time. It was, they don't dunk in WNBA games. I bet you I could go to a WNBA game, because I'm not a dick. So if I went to a WNBA game, I'd be like, oh, okay. All right. When in Rome, baby. Let's have some fun here. And I would root for the team. I might even be entertained. But I just don't know that it would ever grip me the way following the Mavs through a playoff run, or the way, my Bulls of the 90s were for me. I just don't know. It's not, I don't see it. Caitlin Clark, congratulations to her. She is the NCAA Division I all-time leading scorer, passing Pete Maravich. But again, she did it in 4 years with a three-point shot. Pete Maravich had 3 years and no such thing as every shot Pete Maravich took was worth 2 points. Didn't matter if it was from half court. It was worth 2 points. So Caitlin in one more year has actually had more points awarded to her for her. It's not the same. Stop acting like she's better than Pistol Pete. No, she's not. Pistol Pete would clean her clock in a game of one-on-one. Stop it. She's better than powerlifting. It's another thing. Don't pretend that women powerlifters are. Nobody does that. But I'm just saying, right? How can you argue with that? Men are always going to be better at powerlifting. Women are better at other things, man. Being nice, being good, being kind, nurturing. There's a lot of. All right, moving on. Enough of Caitlin Clark. Let's move on to another guy. How about a local guy? I don't even know if he's a local guy. Is he a local guy? Hold on. Let me find out. Making news. Hold on. Scrolling. My page went all the way up to the top, and because it's Google Drive and there is no real mechanism to move quickly. Actually, there is a mechanism to move quickly among the pages on your Google Drive, except it's like 15 pages in the blink of an eye. It's too quick. So you got to scroll like this. Who do we have here? This is, something else that I had fun doing this weekend. Watch NFL Combine. Crap, I'm just distracted by something. Video popped up. A video popped up from this weekend, Saturday Night Live. It's Sydney Sweeney with dark hair and glasses. Oh my God. Jeez, that girl is awesome. Sydney Sweeney hosted Saturday Night Live this weekend. She was great. Here, we'll give you the story. Let me get it loaded up. We're talking about Xavier Worthy, just in case you missed it. So Xavier Worthy went to the Combine. He, of course, a wide receiver from the University of Texas. Xavier Worthy hits the Combine and breaks a record. He is the fastest man in the history of the Combine. Texas wide receiver. Where's he from? Is he from somewhere in Texas, or did he get him from Florida or something like that? John Ross had been the previous record holder in the 40-yard dash, 4.22 in 40 seconds. So let's watch Xavier Worthy, University of Texas. Is this going to be his second run? Yeah, I think this is his second run. His first run in the 40-yard at the Combine was a 4.25. Incredible. 4.22 is the record set by John Ross in 2017, maybe 2018, something like that, somewhere back then. So here you go. So let's watch Xavier Worthy.
We'll run it again to try and get John Ross's 4.22. There he goes. Oh!
Keep going. He might just keep running right out of the stadium.
The roar of the crowd.
That is awesome.
J.J. McCarthy and Roman Wilson greet him. A 4.22 unofficial. John Ross, wherever you are.
Caleb Williams.
Holy smokes,
Yeah,
guys! We got a record.
unofficial.
Oh, yeah?
It is now 4-2-1.
No way.
Oh, man.
Xavier Worthy
There it
now
is.
owns
Up on the big board.
the combine 40-yard
Everybody-
dash.
4-2-1.
Up on the big board.
The
All right, let's look
combine
at
40.
this. All right, so we've got this up here now. So these are the fastest people in combine history. Okay, Xavier Worthy, University of Texas, he broke it over the weekend at 4.22. John Ross out of the University of Washington, he's the record that was broken. He was 4.22. So here's my point. Look at these names. These guys are all scrubs. John Ross sucks. John Ross can run, but that's about it. All of these dudes with these record times, I don't know any of them. I've never heard of any of them. C. Johnson, running back, is that Chris Johnson? Yeah, that might be Chris Johnson. I don't know who that is. DJ Turner II, I don't know who any of these people are. So just being fast, that's cool and all, and you get to say that you're the fastest person on the planet and all that good stuff. Or not fastest person on the planet, fastest person in the league. But it doesn't mean you're going to be any good. Like, the idea is, oh, they're so fat. Like, somebody's going to draft him, and there's going to be some kid that's going to be like, he's got the fastest time. They're just going to have him sprint down the side. Yeah, that doesn't work, dude. That doesn't work. There have been track guys in the NFL for years. That has never worked. Ronaldo Nehemiah was a great example. Ronaldo Nehemiah was a medalist, hurdler, and sprinter in the Olympics. And he became he ended up with the 49ers, Ronaldo Nehemiah. And he was wide open, couldn't catch. That's the problem. Wide open, just wide open, boop, off the hands. So look, you can be fast. The 85 Bears, my 85 Bears had Willie Gault. Willie Gault was a member of Carl Lewis's Olympic sprint tandem team, whatever it was. Willie Gault was the fastest man in the NFL. Willie Gault couldn't catch. I'm sorry, there's a reason Willie Gault is not. The 85 Bears had a defense. That's why they were so good. But Willie Gault, we were like, man, he's speedy Willie. He's going to get wide open. Yeah, he gets wide open, but he can't catch. I missed it. I misjudged it. So anyway, congratulations to the fastest ever, University of Texas. Xavier Worthy gets the crown, the mark there at the combine. A lot of combine stuff. I was watching a lot of combine stuff this weekend. You know, my Bears, we have the first pick in the draft. We have bookends. We have bookends in the top 10 of this year's draft, which is a really deep draft. And if there was like a year to have bookends in the top 10, we got the first pick and the 9th pick. So we're very excited about what we're going to get out of this. I think I'm starting to get Stockholm syndrome where it comes to Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is the consensus number 1 overall pick quarterback, transcendent generation, whatever you want to say, the next Patrick Mahomes, which is such bullshit. You know what? You know why comparing Caleb Williams coming out of college to the next Patrick Mahomes? You know why that's bullshit and disingenuous as fuck? Because nobody said that about Patrick Mahomes when he was coming out of college. Nobody said that he's going to be a transcendent player. Nobody except maybe 2 guys in the Chiefs organization. Nobody had that kind of nobody saw it in Patrick Mahomes, is my point. Yeah, when he's a nice little quarterback. Yeah, he's a late first-round draft pick, whatever. That's all he was. Everybody was talking about the other guys in the draft. Deshaun Watson, Mitch Trubisky. You know those guys. The stars who the experts decided would be transcendent to any franchise that was lucky enough to get them. And then maybe if they lost out, they could get Patrick Mahomes for a couple of years and get another quarterback. Anyway, point is this. Nobody knew Patrick Mahomes was going to be Patrick Mahomes. Nobody saw that. So comparing Caleb Williams coming out of college, he's going to be like Patrick Mahomes. Well, you didn't even see Patrick Mahomes coming out of college. So how can I believe that you know what the fuck you're looking at? I hate football experts. I hate draft season experts, but I love the combine. I'm getting Stockholm syndrome with Caleb Williams. I'm like, because I'm a Justin Fields guy and I want him, and Justin Fields is my guy, and I want to just trade the number 1 pick, and I want to get a whole bunch of first round picks this year, next year, and the next year, and I just want to load up with talent around Justin Fields. That's what I want to do. That's probably not going to happen because first picks are rare, and this is the second year that the Bears have had it, and the Bears aren't going to trade it away 2 years in a row. Why? That'd be crazy. Even though it's the thing they should do, they won't do it. So they're probably going to take Caleb Williams. So I'm resigned myself to that fact. So I've been watching all kinds of Caleb Williams highlights and interviews and all this kind of stuff. And holy shit, do I like this guy. It's not about a football player. Look, as a football player, it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Nice no-look pass. I like that. I see what he does. I get it. Patrick Mahomes has done that in NFL games, and that's why you're saying he's the next Mahomes. Whatever. He's good. He's incredibly talented as a football player. That's undeniable. But he's a good dude. He seems like a good dude. He seems like a cool, relaxed. It's not too big for him. He's not nervous. He's not robotic. That's the one thing about him. He's not robotic. Drake May, who's another great quarterback prospect out of North Carolina. Drake May was on camera, and he was talking, and I would be happy to go to any team that wants to take me. I just football first. I'm just all about winning. I'm looking for, that's Drake May. Caleb Williams is much more relaxed, so I like him. Anyway, everybody is all about the NFL world this week, as it is Combine Week. Last week was Combine Week. This is Combine Week. Watch the quarterbacks throw. Man, go to YouTube and just watch the quarterbacks throw the deep ball. Just go to quarterbacks deep ball. Just put that. So cool. It's so cool, man. These guys just chuck it. It's one after another. It's like I watched. It's like, okay, here's Michael Penix. Beautiful deep ball. Here's Bo Nix, beautiful deep ball. Handsome Sam Hartman, deep ball. JJ McCarthy. This is just cool. They're just running free as fast as they can, and the quarterback's just chucking it. I did not see one drop. There was one video that I watched of all the main. I didn't see one drop. Everything was a completion. Everything was just a dime. This is a deep draft for quarterbacks. At least every single one of these guys looked like they could throw. But here's a fun little story that I wanted to share with you. Do we have the audio? Where is it? Make sure we get it. Hold on. The page isn't tight. It's just going to take a while. So I got to fill. Good thing that I know how to fill. Let's go ahead and do this. This is Courtney Cronin from the NFL Network. I don't know if you know who Courtney Cronin is, but you probably don't, because Courtney Cronin is an NFL Network reporter, but she specializes in the Bears. The Chicago Bears are a team that she covers. So she's the Bears expert, if you will. She's like, I'm here at Hallis Hall camp and all that stuff. Courtney Cronin, who I happen to like, she was doing a hit, as they call them. She was at the Combine, and she was calling into ESPN Radio in Chicago. This is the Cap and J Hood show. It's the morning show there. David Kaplan and Jonathan Hood. It's a good show. Both of these guys are good dudes. They're fun. They're cool. It's a cool show. So Courtney Cronin is doing her, radio hit. We're going to go to Courtney Cronin. She's not at the Combine. She's getting from the NFL Network. She's going to give us all the information. Listen to what happened. This is Courtney Cronin's badass. I love this. I've been in this position. I've never done this. Wouldn't have the balls to. But Courtney Cronin, here she is. This is fun. This is from Friday morning on the Cap and J Hood show. Again, NFL Network's Courtney Cronin calling in from the Combine.
Courtney Cronin with Cap and J Hood on ESPN 1000, Chicago's home for sports.
Courtney Cronin is with us from Indianapolis at the NFL Combine, and she joins us on the home of the Bears, ESPN 1000, on the hotline.
That'd be the CarX Tire and Auto Hotline.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom. Let's go, man. Don't worry, call the CarX man.
Good morning to you, Courtney. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
She looks a little irritated. Like did you notice that when they were playing the rattle, rattle, thunder? She kind of rolled her eyes like, ugh.
We're doing great. Thank you very much. We were able to play some of the sound from Caleb Williams in his press conference at Indianapolis. What did you glean from the conversation?
I mean, he's incredibly confident, right? You guys took that as much as we did. It was such an incredible display of people that were there to watch him and everything else that kind of unfolded. All right, fuck this.
All right, we'll put it on hold, and we'll get back to Cordy in a moment. But Cap, again, you think about what Caleb Williams had.
Jay Hood. First of all, Jay Hood, what are you doing? Jay Hood is, there's a rule, and it's called don't throw a spotlight on it. When somebody says something, when they swear, or maybe gets missed in the dump, conversationally, somebody says something they shouldn't. The rule is you can acknowledge it in the room with eye contact, but don't throw a spotlight on it because listeners probably didn't notice and you can just roll right past it. Jonathan Hood is trying to do that. Jonathan Hood is the black guy. Jonathan Hood is the one who's trying to be like, well, okay, we seem to be having some troubles. But if you watch Cap's the other guy on the left. Cap's the white guy. Cap's like, oh, here we go. Like Cap wanted to get into it. Here we go. Let's watch this one more time. Courtney Cronin on Cap and Jay Hood.
You?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Thank you very much. We were able to play some of the sound from Caleb Williams in his press conference at Indianapolis. What did you glean from the conversation?
I mean, he's incredibly confident, right? You guys took that as much as we did. It was such an incredible display of people that were there to watch him and everything else that kind of unfolded. All right, fuck this.
On the Cap.
All right, we'll put it on hold, and we'll get back to Cordy in a moment. But Cap,
as we did, it was such an incredible display of people that were there to watch him and everything else that kind of unfolded. All right, fuck this.
Isn't it interesting that the one thing it seemed to totally clear up when she went, all right, fuck this. Courtney Cronin. Not good. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Hey. You think you're going out? You think you're going out? You ain't going out. You can't be allowed outside. I got another hour of this at least. Well, no, I got time. I got a little bit more time I got to do here. And you're not going to be allowed out. You broke through the fence. You think I can just let you go out? Come here. Come on. Come here. Idiot. All right. If you're joining us late, the dog got out today. She knocked down the fence. She went right through the fence. She just went. There was an open house on the block somewhere, and so there's a lot of cars and people walking around, and she didn't like it. Or actually, if I'm being truthful, she was intrigued by it. It's not that she didn't like it because she didn't attack anybody, but she was just like, what's going on out here? Bunch of pretty rich ladies, bunch of pretty trophy wives in sundresses. Oh, is this your dog? I'm like, yeah, I'll get him. She's beautiful. I'm like, she's an asshole. Now the dog wants to go outside. You go lay down. You are not going outside. You are not going outside for at least another half hour. Yeah. I love her, but she's awful. All right, Courtney Cronin. Thank you very much. It was the echo. See, they had an echo thing, and she couldn't handle it. And she's like, all right, fuck this. What was she thinking? Here's what I'm wondering. Is because she's a pro, and she's a regular on that station. She knows those guys. It's not like, all right, fuck these guys. It wasn't like that. It was she was just frustrated over whatever the tech was that was going wrong. What we heard was that there was an echo. So imagine what's going on in her headphones, super clanked up, right? So she's hearing that echo that you're hearing, but she's hearing it really loud. And it's hard to talk with an echo. And a lot of times you have to muscle through it. Like there are times when you'll be out somewhere doing a show and there'll just be a technical problem. And there will be an echo or there'll be a drag in your headphones where you're hearing what you're saying like a split second later in your headphones. And that's very confusing. That is hard to do. She didn't handle it well. She did not handle it like a pro. And I'm wondering if it's just all of this digital recording that people do nowadays. Did she not realize that she was on a major radio station that she's on all the time? She probably does 15 podcast interviews every day. So is that what she was thinking? Because man, that's no trouble. I don't think there's any trouble. Actually, let's see. It's unclear if Cronin disconnected her video feed or if the station figured it was probably best to take her off camera in case she decided to drop another F-bomb. F-bomb out of frustration and the situation, saying they'd either been there before or would do the same thing. Well, you can't do that though. that's not professional. You got to fight through it, or you make it a bit. You figure out a way to make it a bit. Barney says, seemed like she was on the headphones and the laptop at the same time. Then when she pulled the headphone mic up to her mouth, it cleared. Yeah, I think somebody was working on something and they fixed it. And that's why the minute she gave up, it seems like it was because her, okay, guys, fuck this, was clear as a bell. There was no echo on that. So maybe if she had just one more second of patience, she may have been able to finish the interview. But whatever, we still love her. She's still ours. She's good. Courtney Cronin. But man, wildly unprofessional. Sports betting is being talked about now. Sports betting. It's a big thing. It's coming here to Texas probably next year. Perfect. Just in time for my son to become a gambling addict. I hate the sports betting phenomena. I mean, I understand its popularity because a lot of money to be made. And we don't. For years, though, we had this rule, right? In civilized society that we kept those things out because, sure, it's very lucrative and you can make a lot of money by legalizing it, but it was not good for the moral backbone of our society. Gambling, that's kind of a degenerate thing. You do that elsewhere. Leads to too much. We don't need it. And then a couple of years ago, we just went, let's just make money off. Let's fuck morals. Let's just let people. I wish they'd do the same with drugs and prostitution. Make prostitution and drugs legal too. Make gambling legal. These are all, you are trying to legislate my morality by saying that I can't do these things. So if we're going to make gambling legal, let's just make it all legal across the board. Why are you just picking gambling? Oh, because it's the biggest money. Because, I think sex would be the biggest money. I think if Amazon got into the prostitution game, holy shit. Imagine that. Who is going to be the Uber of legalized prostitution? That's an app that doesn't exist yet, but it will. Hit the app, pick the girl. She's 2 blocks away. She'll be there. Think about that. Oh my God, there's money to be made. Now I want that money. Screw society. See, I get it. I get how these things happen. Sports gambling is taking over. It's becoming a big problem. Everybody is everybody's doing it. In the states where it's legal, it's a huge problem. My own little personal universe, like half of my friends are all now like, oh, dude, it's great. You could watch the game and then you could bet on plays before they happen. Like, do you think they're going to pick up this first down? I made $15 on a first down pickup. It's like that kind of thing. Like, I don't need that with my sports. I don't need that. And how many people are going to be ruined this way? Like, how many kids are going to get into other things because they lost all their money gambling? I don't know. I just think it's trouble. And I think the word you can use, the word that I'm searching for is gateway. And that's what they're finding out. A new study turns out sports gambling was a gateway drug all along. That's right. DraftKings would love it if you bet on the Knicks game. Oh, and while you're at it, why don't you hop over to its casino app and try out a little online blackjack? And wouldn't it be neat to eventually toss a few bucks on some lottery tickets too? While more and more Americans are getting used to wagering on games from their phones, sports betting is just the start. The next step is to get people to gamble on everything. Sports betting has exploded since 2018 when the Supreme Court struck down a federal law prohibiting it. 38 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized wagering and sports leagues, which once shunned even the 38 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized wagering. and sports leagues, which once shunned even the faintest idea of betting on their games, have embraced it. Even Disney, the bastion of family friendliness, is trying to get a piece of the pie. And it's quite a big pie. Americans legally bet $119 billion last year. 100 legally on your phone, $119 billion industry that didn't exist, that suddenly emerged with the stroke of a Supreme Court decision. 1.1984 billion on sports in 2023, according to the American Gaming Association, a 27.8% increase from 2022. Sports betting revenue hit 10.9 billion last year, up 44%, while growth may not continue. Anyway, okay, let's move on here. The study goes on to talk about how online gambling companies don't plan to stick to just sports. The bigger picture is the bet is that once someone gambles on the NBA. All right, many online gambling companies don't plan to stick to sports. The bigger picture bet is that once someone gambles on an NBA or NFL game, they'll develop a taste for gambling on other things too. That will give companies more avenues to dip into consumers' wallets, many of which are more lucrative than sports betting. And it goes on to talk about kids. It goes on to talk about how, oh, sure, you got to be over 18 and 21 in some states. Man, doesn't matter because it's done on a phone. Kid can do all of these things. It's like keeping kids. Kids can't be on Pornhub. Pornhub, you gotta be 18. There's a thing right there. It says, "Are you 18?" And you click yes or no. So I mean, if an 18-year-old, if he goes on, a 15-year-old, if he goes on Pornhub, he's gonna immediately be confronted with that. Are you 18? And what do you think he's gonna do? He's an honest boy, so he's gonna click. No, he's not. He's a pubescent teenager with a rager. And he's going to click, yeah, I'm 18. So that's what they say about sports gambling too. Oh, no, you got to be a certain age, please. I have a friend who's got a teenager who's got a problem with it. That's one of the reasons. I'm not saying any names, but that's my fear with my kid, is that my kid is going to have a problem with this too. Like just one more thing. Hey, got rid of crack, but hey, can I interest you in some sports gambling? DraftKings, the Boston-based sports entertainment and gaming company, announced in February that it was buying Jackpocket, an app that lets people buy lottery tickets online. This part of a $750 million deal. How did somebody get to do that? How is that a business how do you get to be the one that sells lottery tickets online? That seems like that should be a governmental thing. Like the state should do that. I don't know. Good for you. All right. Sports gambling. It's turning into everything. And the story goes on to talk about how it leads to other things, drugs and depression and suicide and all kinds of terrible things that we know that gambling has caused for hundreds and hundreds of years. This isn't news that, people who are degenerate gamblers, they have a really bad end. That's not breaking news. But what is breaking news is that now everybody has a casino in their pocket. Everybody. So how many more of this? What is the epidemic going to be? Okay, sports betting. No, dog, stop it. The dog is just staring daggers at me. The dog is like, I want to go out. And you can't because you knocked the fence down. You can't go out. Go lay down. It's not barking though, which is good. She's just staring at me. Chris Mortensen died. Chris Mortensen. It's like a run of sports stuff we got here. Mort was Mort's one of the OGs of the ESPN, football experts. Before there was a Shefty, before there was a Glazer, there was Mortensen. There was Chris Mortensen. He was ESPN's NFL expert. Mort, what do you say? And Chris Mortensen he wasn't a big personality. Like he wasn't like, I've got some crazy things to say. He wasn't that. He was just a real credible, real effective journalist who worked in the NFL media for years and years. Chris Mortensen, long a staple of ESPN's NFL coverage, dies at 72 years old. Chris Mortensen, a longtime NFL reporter for ESPN, died at 72, the network announced Sunday. No cause of death was immediately made public. Mortensen, whose 2016 diagnosis of and treatments for stage 4 throat cancer limited his subsequent on-air appearances, said in September that he was stepping away from work to focus on my health, family, and faith. Yeah, well, they didn't give a cause of death, but 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, he had stage 4 throat cancer. In September, he stepped away. One of the first reporters to fill a national insider role for a given sport, Mortensen won numerous awards before and during his career at ESPN. After being hired at the network in 91, he became a familiar authoritative presence on programs such as NFL Countdown, Monday Night Countdown, NFL Game Day, Sports Center, and Outside the Lines. Chris Mortensen was 72 years old. I like Mort. I don't know if I like them. Honestly, didn't have an opinion. Very bland, very regular guy. Just always, what I appreciated was that he was always there, and he's a staple of, watching football coverage when I was younger. And even recently, it seems like when they said that he announced in 2016, no, she's starting to be bad. She's starting to go, if I let her out, no, you can wait another 20 minutes or so. I hope do you actually have to go to the bathroom? I'm talking to her like I expect an answer. I'm talking to her like I expect her to go, no, seriously, I know you're mad at me about that thing, but I really got to take a deuce. Like that's what she's going to say? I don't think so. What else do we have here? All right, here's a story. Here's a good one. This was interesting. I saw this. They're talking about, it's from the Wall Street Journal. And it's being called the new radio. Now, what does that mean, the new radio? Well, in this particular instance, it's applied to the way that radio used to break music. Radio once was where you went to hear your new favorites. It's where you first time, all of your favorite songs, first time you heard them were probably on the radio if you're of a certain age. So radio was a giant commercial. Like people, you think like, oh, they play 10 songs and then commercials. No, those 10 songs are commercials. We're just okay with them. Those 10 songs are a commercial for the album that you're trying to sell. So you play them on the radio. People like the song, they go and buy it. That's the whole point. That's what music radio is all about. So it is all big commercial. But radio doesn't do that anymore because we've got other ways that people are acquiring music. People listen. My son uses YouTube. My son uses Spotify. All of these different things. But there is one place that has emerged as the place to break new artists, the way MTV did in the mid 80s or all the way through the 90s. New artists, people you never heard before, you saw for the first time on MTV. Well, cable's not a thing anymore, so people don't do that. Kids break new music. Kids used to come home from school in the 80s, and they'd sit in front of the TV and they'd watch MTV. And they'd see the Bengals walk like an Egyptian. I don't know, for some reason, that's a memory. I remember coming home from school and being over at my friend Mike's house, and Walk Like an Egyptian came on. And it was the first time we had seen that. And of course, we were all a bunch of high school dudes, so we're like, man, Susanna Hoffs is hot. But it was an interesting moment. But that's how we discovered new music back then. There is a new way that it's being done, and it's really interesting, and it's really cool, and it's not new. It's just that the Wall Street Journal has finally recognized it and went, "Hey, old people, do you know this is happening?" Video games. That's it. That's the new radio. Record companies and artists are begging to be put in video games. Music has long been a part of games, but artists from Gen X stalwart Metallica and pop star Lady Gaga to rapper Big Sean and indie act Waze Blood have been doubling down on the medium in recent years, taking advantage of modern tactics for reaching the industry's massive youth-oriented user base. Where are the kids in 2024? Where are they? They're playing video games. So how about giving them a little music while they play the video games? And how about if that new music is, or how about if that music is from some band that A&M is paying to have? It's the same thing as radio. No DJs, no nothing like that. Just people playing games and hearing new music. It says here, artists are signing deals with game companies to debut new songs through interactive events and as background music for games themselves. In some cases, weeks before those tracks are released to the likes of Spotify. So long before you can actually, Beyonce's dropping a new one. Well, she might put that on a game in the future first before you hear it there. Video games are a huge priority for today's artists, said Joe Curry, a licensing executive at Atlantic Records. They're not only revenue drivers in terms of strong licensing income, but they're huge marketing drivers as well. For in-game events, financial terms vary by performer and the scope of the promotion. Artists typically collect a licensing fee when their song or music is played in a game and a cut of the revenue from the sales of virtual items, blah, blah, blah. Industry leaders are betting the market's next wave of revenue comes from licensing music in 3 key areas: social media, fitness apps such as Peloton, and video games. Yeah, fitness, the Peloton. You're doing your thing. They're playing music, get some music going. They're going to give you new music. They're going to be like a radio station used to be. I'll tell you the other thing that happened with I don't know if this is the exact same thing. It's similar, though. But the game Guitar Hero or Rockstar Hero, whatever those games where you play, those games introduced to kids born in 2010, those games introduced ZZ Top, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Black Sabbath. My son's entire knowledge of classic rock, because I didn't give him a lot of classic rock background, but he knows a lot, all comes from Guitar Hero. Like, he knows all of the bands on Guitar Hero that he plays the music to, even though they were bands that put out records 40 years before he was born. He's like, hey, Dad, you ever hear Uriah Heep? I'm like, what? How do you, a kid born in 2009, how do you know who Uriah Heep is? Guitar Slayer or whatever game. I don't know. So yes, that's a thing. The new radio, video games, artists being broken and artists breaking through. Why? Because you go where the kids are, and that's where the kids are. There's another story here about, this came out over the weekend. This was from the New York Times, an article called Disgraced But Embraced, and it's about people who have been canceled who are now doing better than they ever did before. First of all, I got a problem with the article because the choice of the headline, disgraced but embraced. Who the fuck are you to say they're disgraced? Why are you saying that? What, because they were canceled? Not everybody went along with that. The whole problem, the whole reason that they were canceled was because people just blindly went along with stuff without even knowing what happened. Disgraced? I get it. It's alliteration. It's a nice rhyme and it's a catchy headline. I'd have okayed it. But still, the author of the story is giving their point of view in the headline. They're saying that these people are bad, they're disgraceful, and yet they're being embraced. So you get the idea of what the tone of this article is going to be. Talks about Shane Gillis right out at the beginning. Shane Gillis, who just triumphantly slaughtered Saturday Night Live a couple of weeks back. He was great. Shane Gillis was fired from Saturday Night Live before ever appearing on the show because he said he made some Asian joke on a podcast 10 years ago. And so that ended his career. And what happened? The storm that surrounded Shane Gillis being let go from Saturday Night Live actually propelled him to heights that he would not have achieved. If he hadn't been fired from Saturday Night Live, Shane Gillis might still be, this is 3 years ago, he might still be just a role. He would absolutely 100% still be just a role player doing. Instead, he's hosting Saturday Night Live. Hosting. And they talk about a number of other people who have been so-called canceled and all of that, and how that really doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like, if you get canceled, you can actually make more money. You can find it. Just Google it. It's a good article if you want to read it. I'm sorry. I'm kind of speeding now because I see it's 2:00. The damn dog is going to probably take a dump on the floor, which I feel bad about because she's like, I want to go outside. Even though I don't think she has to go to the bathroom. I think she's just, She knows the last time she went outside, she got out, and then she knows that she has been in a shitstorm of trouble since that time. So I think she's just trying to maybe reset it. She said, just let me go outside. I'll show you. I can be good. I actually want to let her outside because I built a wall out of like, not garbage, but like, wood and stuff where I've kind of fixed the fence. So I want to see if it's good enough. But first, let's do this. What is this story? 20. Oh my God. I don't want these. This was interesting. We'll run through these at the close of the show. Once again, before we get out of here, I want to thank my guy Cam for being today's executive producer. Cam was the biggest tipper of the show. Came in last night. So thank you very much, Cam. I appreciate it. As I said in the beginning, we've got to raise $250 by the end of this week. We have, I don't believe we've had anything yet. Nope. So, So thank you. Thank you to Cam. He is our executive producer of today's show. Appreciate you. Is this the first one? Hold on. I want to go through these. I thought this was very interesting. Okay. So these are a list of expressions that we all say very casually and all the time, commonly. These are common, casually used expressions that are racist. And we don't really, one of them, when we get to the one, I'll be like, what do you mean that's not, of course that's racist. Nobody ever questioned that being a racist saying. Anyway, let's go through some of these because I thought they were really interesting. I'm very interested in the etymology of words, like where phrases and words come from. So from that point alone, I was interested in this story, but also to learn that these phrases that we use all the time and their history and where they come from. For instance, peanut gallery, referring to people who are sitting in the peanut gallery, is a common thing. People in the peanut, hey, let's hear it for the people in the peanut gallery. That's racist. Why? Because the peanut gallery is where the black people had to sit. The peanut gallery was where they sold peanuts. It's where they threw the shells on the floor, and it was the shittiest part of the theater, and it was always in the back because the peanut vendor would come in from the outside. So it's the very worst part of it, and that's where the blacks were forced to stay. So peanut gallery, apparently a racist term. How about Mr. Uppity? I'm calling somebody uppity. I knew that. But uppity was a phrase that was used. Well, I'll read it to you. I don't want to free ball on these because he said, no, I'm just going to read it. These days, many people seem to think the word uppity just indicates someone who's snobby. But in fact, it's a racist expression that was historically used by people in the southern U.S. to refer to a black person who did not know their place. Uppity. Uppity is racist. Hooligan. Here's one for my people. Oh, look at them. They're a bunch of hooligans. That's a hooligan. That's Irish slur. That's a slur against the Irish, popularized by the Brits to describe anybody who's a troublemaker. Hooligan is a play on the Irish last name Houlihan, or what do they say it is? Oh, hooligan. Oh, hooligan or Houlihan. So there you go. No, you jerk. You were bad. Gringo, they say gringo is racist against white people, but I don't think that's a thing. How about gypsy? Gypsy, calling someone a gypsy. You think gypsies are real? Here in Texas, I've never seen gypsies in Texas. In Chicago, we had shit tons of gypsies. We got gypsies all over, and you say calling them gypsies is just a normal thing. It's normal. It's what everybody is. Yeah, a couple gypsies come by. They're gonna redo my. They're gonna fix my gutters. That's what gypsies do. They come through your neighborhood, they knock on the door, and they do handiwork. It's almost always a scam, and it's never worth it, but that's what they do. So where does the term gypsy come from? Well, it describes the Romany people. The Romany people, that's what they're called, the Romany people. They're a wandering ethnic group of people from Central Europe, and they've moved all over that part of Europe. But early on, people thought they were Egyptian because of their skin color, their darker features. So that's where the term gypsy comes from. It's a slang against Egyptians. And also, I guess, bad for sold down the river. Somebody says, he sold me down the river. That's a racist slave trade term. Sold down the river is what you would do with a troublesome slave. A guy who was trouble, you would sell him down the river to another auction, and somebody who doesn't know him or anything might take a shot on him. Sold down the river. That's what that means. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Woo! Who thought eeny, meeny, miny, mo could be racist? It is. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo has to do with how slaves were chosen. The children's rhyming song containing this line has an ugly history that you may not know about. The next line is not catch a tiger by the toe. No, it's not. It's the ugly one. It's the word that rhymes with tiger, but that is the original nursery rhyme. And it was the way that certain slaves would be chosen. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catching. There you go. So don't say that either. Long time no see. Anybody ever said that to you? Long time no see. It's a derogatory way of making fun of Indians. Long time no see is making fun of broken English spoken by Native Americans. Long time no see. It makes sense there. How about no can do? Same thing, but for Chinese. This phrase, no can do, came out of the rail workers when they were building the Chinese people couldn't speak English well. So no can do is the way someone who spoke pidgin English might say. It was a slang against the Chinese. Mumbo jumbo. Mumbo jumbo sounds like it's probably racial. Doesn't it? Mumbo jumbo. So mumbo jumbo comes from the African word mama jambubu. Mama jambubu. And that's a traditional thing in African culture. And when they would perform these as slaves, the white slaveholders would derisively refer to it as mumbo jumbo, or anything that was nonsense that they didn't understand because it was a different culture was mumbo jumbo. But again, the word is mamama jamambo. That's the word. What else? These are a whole bunch of expressions with racist origins that we didn't know about. How about off the reservation? He went off the reservation. Well, we know about that. And off the reservation, that means that's an Indian who is someplace that he shouldn't be. He's off the reservation. Grandfather clause. This one I didn't really get, but here's what it says. The term grandfather clause means an old law continues to apply in certain situations instead of the new law. Unfortunately, the original grandfather clause was used in the American South to deny black people the right to vote, stating that only people who could vote before 1866 and their descendants were exempt from educational. Okay, we don't need to go into all that. I don't know what that means. Thug. How about thug? The word thug. Although this word originated in India, did you know that? Thug is an Indian word. Means troublemaker. That's what or ruffian. It's now used primarily in a negative context. Man, I don't know if that's true. Here's journalistic agendas. Here you go. Here's what this journalist writes. It's now used primarily in a negative context by white people to label young black people. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is racist white people when they see a black person will go, look at that thug. But don't say that's how it's most commonly used. I use thug all the time. I call my son, my 14-year-old son, when he was a little kid, I used to call him my little thug. Like, look at you little thug. People use that phrase in many ways that have nothing to do with race. But I do understand that it has been in the past a way that racist people might just, but I didn't know it was an Indian word. That's interesting. It's an Indian word. Fuzzy wuzzy. Fuzzy wuzzy. The term fuzzy wuzzy. Fuzzy wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy wuzzy. Sounds cute and cuddly like the teddy bear in the nursery rhyme, right? Not so fast. British soldiers in the 1800s used this racist expression to refer mockingly to East African nomads. Yeah? You're getting into it, dog. You barking? Now you're growling? Growling at me. Let's see what else. Here's the one that is obvious, right? Jew him down. Who doesn't know Jew him down is something that you shouldn't say in mixed company? Jew him down. Did you know it has a racist origin? Yeah, that's kind of an easy one. Oriental. Can't say Oriental anymore. Or Oriental, the word itself means Eastern, but the problem with referring to people from East Asia as Oriental is that it implies that they are not Western or that they are somehow not white or different. I don't think that's true. Just a cotton picking minute. Yeah, you can guess. That has to do with chop, chop. When somebody says chop, chop, come on, I need you to do this now. Chop, chop. That sounds like it's derogatory against Chinese people, right? Well, you'd be right, because it comes from the Cantonese word cap, which means make haste, which means hurry. Cap, cap. They would say cap, cap. So white guys would be like, come on, chop, chop, thinking they're speaking the language. And finally, Indian giver. I think that one is Indian giver is the most ironic of them all, because the idea that Indians are the ones who don't follow through on promises. That's the whole point of Indian giver. Well, them Indians, you give them an inch, they take them on. Is that really? That's gaslighting. That's classic gaslighting. Indian giver. All right. That's going to do it, folks. We're out of show. Kevin always thought it was chew him down. No, it is not chew him down. It is, in fact, Adam says it basically was a way to allow white people to vote and deny new. I don't know what that's. See, this is why I said earlier. Regarding, just put a little RE in, and so that I know what your comments regarding, because that could apply to everything I've talked about today. Folks, that's going to do it. That's it. That's the end of the show. The dog really wants to go outside. I can't imagine she actually has to go to the bathroom. I'm sure she's just curious as to what the wall looks like that I built. She didn't get to see the wall yet. She still thinks there's a big gaping hole in the fence. So I'm going to go and I'm going to walk out with her. I'll record it. I'll make a little video of it. She's going to go straight to her wall. And then she's going to, shut up. I'm so mad at you right now. You're not getting any cookies. You get no cookies. Guys, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. I hope you've now been told everything that you need to know about the day today. We do this every Monday through Friday right here at 12 o'clock. Like us, follow us, hit subscribe, do all of that good stuff. Check out some of the other things we have here on the RadioMisfits.com, Radio Misfits podcast and live streaming network. Oh, there's something for everybody. What else? I got nothing else. Tip the show if you can. We could really use the help this week. 250 is the number we got to get to by Thursday. Ugh, God, anxiety. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.